to my channel. I'm firelotusthewitch, and this is another live witches chat. So I'm hopefully going to do this for about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. Yeah, okay, yeah, time's good. So, now I will be slightly preoccupied because I will be carving some candles. But what is up? I'll wait for TikTok to, wow. I'll wait to YouTube to send out the videos. Wind. When you open the window to let some wind in, and it completely blows everything off. But what is up, everybody? Okay, I need you to stop blowing the damn curtain. There we go. Hello, everybody. What is up? I just got back restocking my candles. But not bad. They're $1 a piece, and 6 comes in there. Hello, what is up? Hi. I hope you're having a great day. I'm trying to get organized while also being driven crazy by cats. But our cats have officially hit that their webos have dropped. So we're constantly having cats all over the place meowing. So that's fun. Also, if you get a chance to watch Megan, totally do it. Definitely watch Megan. We watched it last night, and it was actually a really good movie. Cannot wait till part 2 comes out. And you are going to be for financial blessings. And I'm also excited because I misplaced some oils that I was working on, and I found. Okay. But hello everybody. Hello. But I keep it in this. By the way, if anybody uses CBD, not sponsored, Plain Jane, it's a pretty good website. But I found my High John the Conquering root with a couple of other things in there, oil, which is really good. It looks way darker than it actually. There we go. My war water / protection jar, which is good because it has not been hit recently. The war water that was hit, and you're probably going to ask, well, why is this so unique? This war water was made with Rose of Jericho water, and it specifically has the rejuvenating qualities to it. So if you make war water, there's you a tip, use Rose of Jericho water. And always know that if you use war water in a situation where you're not right, it will backfire and slap you in the face. That's just an empty bottle, and that's another empty bottle. I do need you. And then I have my other box of herbs. Well, that's a pendulum board, but of herbs. And if anybody's curious, I use Art of Root. Mostly I use them. Art of Root's a really good, a really good company. Now on TikTok, multiple people have tried canceling them due to how they advertise their oils because they use recipes from Voodoo, Conjure, and Egyptian. So, but their oils are really great. Again, not sponsored. Sorry about that. But yeah, this is just going to be a live chilling, and I'm going to use this to prep some candles that I have to do tonight. The only thing, and if y'all have a tip for this, let me know. I tried using sticky notes, but it did not work. When I have multiple spells that I have to carve into the candles, I've got to figure out a way that I can label them, but also be able to remove that labor. Blah, 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 blah. be able to remove it. Because I use, these are the candles that I use. They're emergency candles, which burn for 5 to 6 hours. And they're $1. And they are, I know, trim the wick. And the only issue that I've ever had from using these is sometimes where they place the wick doesn't fully line up. Hello! Doesn't fully line up, so sometimes you will have it lopside burn at the very end, like, okay, this is just candle. Like, around this area, sometimes the wick will just fall this way or fall that way. But other than that, these are amazing candles. Just please keep it a secret because, I've had to go to 5 to 6 Family Dollars just to be able to find these. But for $1, you get 6 of them. They're white, which means you can add so many things to them. These are the candles that I use in my practice, and they work. Contrary to the candle conversation that is currently going on TikTok right now, that I personally think is just straight bullshit. Just because partner used a perfect word for it, it's classism. And another interesting thing that I found at Family Dollar, it is Blessed House Indian fruit, contains genuine dream oil, and it's an air fresher. I grew up around this when I was younger, and I know there are some Appalachian folk practitioners and some other practitioners that use these in their practice. So I was excited to give it. It also smells good. It reminds me of my childhood. Okay, so that candle's carved, and we're going to do this candle. Where's the name? Oh, there we go. And as soon as I carve this candle, I'll anoint them later on, right before I have to burn them. Plus, I still have to get 2 things for this candle. But how is everybody doing? I hope you're all having a great day, / night, / evening. But I am excited because I do get to use some oil that I recently just got. Okay, so you're going to go right here. And you're going to go right there. The book that I was talking about yesterday that I recently got, that somebody sent me, it includes ritual spells and Wiccan ethics. So I was right, it is a Wiccan book. But it is The Craft, A Witch's Book of Shadows by Dorothy Morrison. So I'm excited just because I haven't really read it yet. And I love being able to add more books to my collection because I have an unhealthy problem when it comes to collecting books. Was okay, yeah, okay. We're caught up. Okay, good. We're gonna put you right there. That's gonna go right there. What is up? Hello. I've been working on some goddess dolls. I'm trading for scroll fur. Oh, that sounds really cool. At one point in time, I was making what I call crystal creations, polymer clay with some crystals, and then I would make them into certain shapes. I've still got some that I haven't used. Oh, I wanted to talk about something too, actually, now that I have it in my hands. When you make war water, for the people that don't know war water, the most basic of basic recipes, you are supposed to technically use like swamp water, but again, you can use the other water. Rusty nails and Spanish moss. There was a video that was made, and I love it because it's expanding it, but for somebody who is not, for somebody who's making it for the very first time, I would suggest not using this, which somebody suggested using storm water with your war water. This is the reason it could become an issue. Now, if it's just a straight up like rainstorm, like thunderstorm, that's okay. But always know that when you use storm water or, for an example, hurricane water in your practice, you are, we'll say metaphorically, you are basically using the entire essence of that storm. And if not, and I hate to say this because I've done videos against just using this term, which is your intention. Magic is more than your intention. But with and using stormwater, if you do not specifically have your mind straight, it could potentially bring a storm to you. Now, I speak this from personal experience of me using it to do a cleansing bath, and it backfiring because we got woke up at 3 a.m. that morning with a freak storm. So, um, be cautious with using stormwater with this. Now, for the people that don't know what this can be used for, it can be used for multiple things. A lot of the most easiest use would be fixing a bottle and putting it on your altar. Now, you are supposed to burp this a little bit because it needs the oxygen with the water to create the rust. But if for any reason it goes from, again, it looks really dark. Hold on. If it goes from being clear, like, there we go, like that, again, it looks darker than it actually is. But if it goes from being clear to it gets really, really dark, 9 times out of 10, the original meaning behind that is somebody threw something at you and this took it in versus you actually initially taking it in. Me too. I'm not just witchy books, not just witchy books. I'm trying to get my husband to make me a wall shelf in my craft room. Oh, that would be so cool. Yeah, using powerful storm, anything can definitely backfire. Personal experience too. LOL. For example, consecrating crystals with powerful storm energy. Oh, wow. I haven't done that yet. The only thing I do similar to that is I charge all of my amethyst pieces. Like right now with the weather we're having, it's perfect for it because I've always associated amethyst with thunderstorms. But yeah, I would definitely be careful with that one because I don't like severe weather. Um, Depending on the severe weather. Storm them in an airtight container. Oh yeah, definitely on that one. But yeah, there's just a conversation that started that I don't know. I'm staying out of it though. Y'all know me. I'm in my own little bubble. Um, but yeah. Also, the if you were in my live yesterday, I talked about a creator that is making oracle cards. You can check out my Facebook and you can check out the community page on here. When? Hold on. There we go. Wind's getting a little bit too strong. But you can check out the community post on here and you'll be able to see it as well. I just took a screenshot of his TikTok and Instagram and just posted it there. So if you want to follow them, you totally can to follow along with the creation of that deck. It's an amazing deck from what I've seen by it, and it screams Southern Gothic like, ugh. And then, how am I going to do this? Okay, you are coming with me really quick. We're going to stand next to the door while I smoke a cigarette because it's way too windy for us to go outside right now. Also, tip, if it's windy where you're at and everything's just getting a little bit too much, walk outside and let the wind blow that off of you. There we go. I have way too much stuff set up right now. There we go. Oh, I thought my neighbor was talking to me. I was like, what the fuck? But I'm also hopefully going to start doing these a little bit more. Friday will probably be one of the only days that I don't actually go live. And or if I go with my partner into work, when he goes back to work, I probably won't be able to go live there just because it's going to be too loud. But other than that, I'm going to attempt to do these every day or every other day here on YouTube because I've got to start growing my YouTube more. And here soon, I will be doing a special unboxing to add. I have one with you. Yes! Hello, hello, hello. Yes, all is good. I hope you're doing well. But I will be having a very special unboxing that somebody's sending me something to add to my curio collection, haunted items slash creepy items. And more than likely, I will probably go live while making the box that this has to go into. Um, and I'm going to document to see if I have any side effects from having this in my house. It is way too windy right now. Hello, everybody. Hello. I try to hide when I'm smoking cigarettes, but I can't do that in film right now at this current second. And then tonight we're going to watch, me and my partner are going to watch Smile, which is interesting because I've not seen the trailer to it, but my partner has, so that's going to be interesting. All right, the wind has cooled down a little bit, so let me go ahead and put this one out. But what is up? I know I'm boring today, at least I'm boring. Well, that thought, let me set you back up on the tripod. Boom. Ah, you're cooking. A while ago. Ah, I made your calendula oil. It's been amazing. Completely healed an intense cut I had, and I've been using it. My son's face rash. His doctors approved and encourage using it. Yes, that shit is amazing. And for anybody who does not know, I call it my miracle oil because it is in fact just that. Um, but calendrial, the flower, it's a yellow flower. It looks kind of like a daisy a little bit. Um, the flower in and itself, when steeped in oil, and you can actually just straight up, if you grow the fresh flowers, you could totally use that too. But the cool thing about it, and my partner has approved of it as well, and that's saying a lot. It takes a lot for him to approve of something. But what it does is it encourages the natural healing process of your skin. So if you have like that right there, I'll be doctoring it. I cut myself shaving, but cuts, scrapes, rashes, acne, you name it, I have not found an ailment yet that it does not heal. Now, obviously, if you get a bad cut or something like that, obviously clean it out like you normally would. But after that, apply a very thin layer of that oil. That shit is amazing. I've even used it on scars to help with scars healing up. Literally, there's nothing that I have not added it to where it has not worked in some way, shape, or form. And the bottle that I have, I call an infinity bottle because it's the same dose that I made 2 years before I got with my partner, so it's been about 10 years now. And all I do is just refresh the oil, and I'll refresh some of the flowers. Shit is amazing. Holy shit. Um, and then if you want to add, I wouldn't necessarily add it to your hair. I've tried it. It's too much of an oil. But for anybody who's trying to grow their hair out, and or if you have natural oily skin and hair like I do, rosemary, just steeping rosemary in water and then washing that, it naturally balances out the oil glands in your scalp and in your skin, so it can help balance the oil out. And then on top of that, it also encourages growth of hair. So two things right there that are amazing. But that's also really cool that you got a doctor to approve it. All right, Wind, you need to slow down a little bit because you're getting a little bit too antsy. Also, again, not sponsored, but I have to talk about it, and I don't talk about them enough. Um, Kanja Kadia, I hope I said that name right. If you ever check out their YouTube page and or their website, their oils, their products are absolutely fucking amazing. But I also love their YouTube, theirs and Lady Grave Dancer. That's where I learned a lot of my stuff, especially when it comes to the recipes and oils, because they have videos where they either go live or they just walk you through how to use oils and stuff like that. Because they're not really that complicated to make. As long as you can get your hands on a starting oil, um, grapeseed oil, olive oil is almost a go-to in almost anything. But olive oil, grapeseed oil, calendrial oil, not calendrial oil. Um, there's another one that you can get at Dollar General. They're really, really great starters for oil, and then steep your herbs in there. I know some people who will actually heat them up in a double boiler. I don't really. I just let the oil do its natural thing. You can also wait and research the planetary hours. So, say you're making a self love oil, you would look at the planetary hour that the planet over love would be, and then you make that oil in that specific hour and then charge it. You can also use it to, you can use the sun to charge it, and you can also use the moon to charge it as well, depending on what you're trying to do. Now, if you were to make a phoenix oil, um, I would try to wait for an eclipse. That way, you have both lunar and solar energy combined as one. I have my storm water from most of the hurricanes that have hit here in Florida. I've collected rainwater from that, but almost every blood moon eclipse that we've had, dating back at least 5 years, I've collected water from it. And one day I'm going to be crazy enough to actually combine all of them in one bottle. Because my partner made a joke about it. And he's like, what happens if you were to accidentally drop all of that? I don't want to be here to find out. um, hello, 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 hello. All right, now I got too hot. I hate Florida. Florida, I really hate you right now. 1 minute you're too hot, and the next minute you're too damn cold. When you go back in there, will you cut the AC on a little bit? Thank you. Also, I got to do my first video chat today. It wasn't one of the counseling ones, but it was just an actual conversation to go a little bit more in depth with some of the reading that I did. I believe it's going to be successful, so I'm going to plan on running a trial of that hopefully next week. Um, and we're going to see how that goes. And basically, with that, you're going to have 30 minutes of just screen time with me. So that's open questions. I don't know if I'm going to do readings with that specifically because my readings are going to go over 30 minutes just of how detailed I am. But I want it to be able to where, like, basically it's like a counselor to where you can just have 30 minutes with a witch and be able to talk to them and pick minds or, like, pick my mind. Um, and like I said, I'm hopefully going to be able to do that. The only thing I'm going to have to schedule or figure out the scheduling to it will be the day and the hour that that's going to happen on. The moon will eclipse Mars on Monday the 30th. Oh, holy shit. Yeah. Also, what's really cool, I recently did a baneful working, and if you follow me on TikTok, you may have seen this post. Um, I had talked to somebody, and I was planning on helping them out with the baneful working. Well, the day that I was actually getting everything together and I was about to perform it, they had messaged me, and shit had popped off in a good way. Kind of a good way. It started out hectic, but it landed on a good way. Well, they just recently contacted me, and I'll be having a phone conversation with them very soon to actually go into more detailing because apparently it not only worked, but a lot of crazy shit happened after that. But the reason I made a video was because that's like the third time somebody has came to me for a working, and then it started working before I actually like put together the actual working. So I asked the internet, like, have you ever experienced this before? And without realizing it, it did play into just setting your intentions. But I don't like that narrative because some people that are new to the practice or witchcraft, they're going to get it in their heads that, well, all they have to do is wake up and set their intention, and then boom, it's going to work. Because yes, that can work like that, but at the same time, no, it can't. Like I can't set an intention that I'm going to get $200 tomorrow and it work. I've tried. But if you fix the candle along with that and then also go out and do everything you possibly can to meet the universe halfway, it'll work. And also, when it comes to prosperity magic or money magic, instead of flat out asking like the most thing that I've always gotten with messages is, can you do a spell to make me rich? No. Have you mathematically the odds of you winning the lottery would be like 1 in 1,000 chances, I think every 6 years. Um, but what I can do though is help you land a job and or create your business or start your business to where that money's coming in. Um, because when people come to me like that, I'm like, do you honestly think I'd be living in a trailer right now if I could just make people rich? No. But the reason I brought that up is because instead of trying to win the lottery, set a specific goal. Say you needed to replace your roof, right? Do a spell to, instead of getting that money, finding a way to be able to get a roof or to be able to get a car. Whether that is randomly coming across somebody who looks at you and is like, yo, you need a car? Yeah, here you go. But when it comes to specific money, like if you have a bill to pay, when you do your working, do it about $10 over the amount that you need. Ace, stop. You have been chasing females all day today. Sorry about that. Or set the amount like $10 under. And from my experience, it works better that way. Let me see what that thing is. I honestly think it's the person's protection taking them, reaching out as the go ahead. That's what I think that was too. What do you personally use that for? Wait, which one? What do I personally use what for? I'm curious now. For the baneful workings? Or what? Were we talking about oil? I think I missed something. The war water. Okay. Yeah, war water can be used for baneful workings, more along the lines of protective workings that may fall into baneful workings. So war water, in fact, is that it can bring peace to a war that's being raged on, but it can be tricky. So say a situation happened and you don't have all of the fine details yet, right? But the way that it looks like this specific person did something to you. And then you use the war water. If it backfires on you, that means that you yourself have not, basically you were wrong in the situation. That's the only drawback to using war water, which is if you use it in a situation to where you are not validated and or you are not right, it's going to backfire. But yeah, you can use it as protection. There have been some people who've used it in healing, but specifically it's more defensive. Like I said, you can create tiny little bottles and keep around your property or put it on your altar. Stop. I love you, but stop. Um, but yeah, you can set it on your altar, and it's kind of like a ward, if you will, as in if somebody throws something your way, it's gonna hit that versus hitting you. But yes, it can be used in baneful workings, and there are different recipes that vary depending on where you're at, like regionally. But most of the time, you're supposed to use like dirty swamp water or like murky water, rusty nails, and one of the key ingredients is Spanish moss. But again, if you're in a different part of the Appalachians, for example, that doesn't really where Spanish moss doesn't really grow, there are other alternatives or different variants of the recipes that you can use. Um, the war water that I showed you, it was just an experiment to see if I could actually get the resurrection properties from the water into the war water. I'm in Florida. Okay, good, good, good. Then yeah, you'll definitely be able to do that. Specifically, since you're in Florida and I know some of the landscape, try to find a river or a pond, and this can actually go deeper, as in, it depends on if the river's flowing towards your house, away from your house, which direction it's flowing in. But specifically, the swampy areas, get some of that water. Obviously, talk to the spirits and everything. Get some of that water, bring it home. Now, traditionally, you're supposed to use. I live right behind the bay. Oh, okay. Um, but traditionally, you're supposed to use what are known as coffin nails. But any nail can do. It just needs to be rusty. Now, I do know some practitioners who will actually rust nails themselves. I like that idea, but if you can find nails that were already rusted just by the weather, that works a little bit better, in my opinion. But again, it just depends on. And if you can actually get swamp water from a place where or if you can get water from a place where a war has actually taken place, there are multiple places here in Florida. That's going to work 10 times better as well. And there are some people who use stump water when making war water. But be very careful with using stump water because there's a lot of lore behind that, and you could potentially piss off the Fae and or land spirits. But I call it stump water, but it is basically it's also in native magic. But it is water that has never officially actually hit the ground. In other words, it was caught in a stump and or it was caught in a natural bowl inside of a tree. But it has a lot of fucking properties to it. Like a lot of properties. There's also, I'll share it on here. I'll actually try to link their Facebook page. This is for anybody as well. I stumbled across this like cabinet of curios. I don't think that's the name of their page, but not only do they travel all around the world, um, I'm talking they've been to Dracula's castle. They went to a castle where witches were actually burned over, like overseas, and they collected some of that dirt, but they also, and they're not expensive. You would think that something like that would be extremely expensive, but they're not. Have you noticed cats acting more clingy than normal lately? I would say yes, but no, not here in our property. Most of our cat, or actually all of our cats now are outside cats, except for one who's like inside outside. But it's that time of the year for cats, so all of our cats have been stuck up each other's asses, as in they're just following each other around. And if you heard that earlier, that was Ace. The hormones have officially got to his head. So, ooh, it's getting dark. So I'll be live for about 5 more minutes, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off. But with the Curio page, I will try to link it to this. They also have an Etsy, but you can also contact them through Facebook. They have some really, really interesting items that you can purchase from them. They have lightning ash from a tree that's been struck over like 100 times. They have war water, as in actual swamp water where a war here in Florida was fought at. They went and collected some of that. They have different types of holy water. They have all different types of stuff. Um, and one day I'm supposed to be interviewing them, but our scheduling did not work because they were going out of country the last time I talked to them. Um, but yeah, I'll link it here because there are a lot of interesting things here in Florida. Like for an example, if you ever go to St. Augustine, Florida, there's a lot of things that you can use there and bring back to your thing because St. Augustine's is the oldest still standing and working establishment in the entire continental U.S. because it was even founded before the whole guy from the UK came over here and Plymouth Rock and all that shit. Because the Spaniards actually set up there with some natives. I'm not full on the whole history there. Um, but if you are sensitive to spirits, do not go there unprotected like I did because there's a lot of spiritual energy there. Um, and technically, the Fountain of Youth is still there, supposedly there. Now I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head, "Gangster's Paradise." And what I plan on doing too, because I got a comment, one of these lives that I'm going to be doing this week, I'm going to make a list of things that I want to go over just to fit into one video. Um, because I forgot that I posted some of my TikToks on here that I was going to go into more detailing. One of them was one of my mutuals, Raven, posted a video about the like law of three and like when you do baneful workings, does it come back to you and things like that. And my the way that I explained it with me is like say if somebody were to come to me for a baneful working, a lot of people have asked me, well, why do you not get a slap back from that? Because I'm a witch, but at the same time, I'm not tapping into your energy. I'm a conduit. I'm conjuring that energy and then using it as the intention that you set. So it, I guess it's just the way that I believe, but there's no clapback. Now, if I myself were to do a baneful working, depending on what I'm doing it for, like if I were to do it just because I say I was being selfish and somebody just pissed me off and I just said fuck it, then yeah, I may have a slapback for that. But at any point in time, if I do something and it's justified by doing it, then there's no clapback. There's going to be a slight ripple effect because no matter what energy you're sending out there, positive or negative or light, dark, which we don't use around here. We don't use that terminology. Any spell or energy that you put out there, use Palms 109 yet. I don't think I have. I'm slowly incorporating the palms in there. You also know how to protect yourself. This is true too. I do know how to protect myself, but what book was it? Do I have it? I do have it. This book right here, I'm gonna write that palms down. That's what I was doing. Palms 109. Secret Keys of Conjure taught me something that no other book besides, I think, one of Pinzak's books said it. Hold on. I'm gonna be looking that up tonight. In this book right here, he mentions, or the author mentions, that the most important responsibility of a witch is knowing when to react and when not to, when to cast a spell, whether you're defending yourself or not, and when to just set back and let life take its course. So there have been multiple times where I've done a working because somebody just like rubbed me the wrong way or something like that, and it did in fact backfire in some way, shape, or form. But there have been a shit ton of other workings that I've done to where, and it's also weird because when people hear of a clapback, they all, most of the time they think it's like a negative consequence, but it's not. It's not necessarily like in Charmed when they use their powers for their own selfish purposes and they got like in trouble, right? Or punished. No, another example of that, hello. I'm also in Florida, so hello. Um, there was a point in time where our cats kept disappearing. So, and this is also a perfect story time of instant magic because it is a thing. Um, I literally got a coffee filter, witchy tip. If you like to burn things, brown paper bags and coffee filters. You can get 200 of them for $1.96 at Walmart, Dollar General, and they burn very easily. But I had literally, I don't exactly remember what exactly I wrote down on there, but I specifically targeted my neighbors. Right, Florida Unite. But the way that I did it was I needed it to be revealed of who was actually trapping our cats and taking them somewhere else. I didn't figure this neighbor over here that has the goats. I didn't think it was them. I didn't think it was my elderly neighbor because as much as she hates other animals, she doesn't have an issue with cats. I mean, she has 2 pet dogs. So the one behind us and there's one over on the other side, I was like, it's got to be one of them. So I was here by myself. My partner was at work. I filled out the piece of paper, anointed it with 1 or 2 oils, maybe some herbs, and I burned it in my cauldron outside on the porch. Literally within 5 minutes, if that, I see the next door neighbor who I call the crazy lady, walking down here, and I was like, "There's no way she's coming to." She came to my door, and in fact, not only did she come to my door, but she came to ask me if I could go help her trap Stripes, or AKA Grandpa, the oldest cat we have. So it was both. That was a consequence because I got put into a very awkward situation because it went from I was very polite with her to, let's just say it ended with me screaming across the yard, get the fuck off my property or I'm calling the cops. So that was a consequence on my action, as in I asked for it, but I wasn't expecting it to be instant like that. And luckily since then we haven't really had a problem with her. But that's what we mean. Hello. That's what we mean by when you do a spell, you can have a clap back. It may not. It depends on it. It gets complicated because it depends on what spell you did. It depends on what your actions were and what your actions were in the entire situation. Like, say you were going back and forth with somebody online, and then due to the fact that you had one thing go wrong, you automatically assume that they hexed you. So you turned, grabbed your war water, put it in something, and say you put that person in a jar. Well, that's going to backfire because say you find out shortly after that that person actually didn't do anything to you. So see, it also depends on how you play in that part. Okay. Holy shit, it got really, really dark outside. Um, But yeah, that's what we mean by sometimes spells can have clapbacks. Now, a loophole to that, what I used to do when I was more into Wicca, and I was afraid of like the threefold law. Did we just lose power? I'm an idiot.
That's why I just sat here staring at
I
it.
know.
Because
I could feel your stare, but I looked over when I said that.
I'm
My
like,
brain's like, no, dummy, the light's still on.
fucking ring light is
I
right
heard the
in
beep
front of
beep,
me.
and it sounded like the radio. It sounded like the microwave had restarted.
The microwave's right beside you.
It's covered up by my shroud thing. Um, but when I was younger, um, and I was like really afraid of the threefold law. What I would do if I did any type of baneful workings was I would do like 2 or 3 positive spells right before I did the baneful working. That way, the baneful working was still going to come back to me, but it was going to be cushioned by the 2 other spells that I did prior. Now, again, I don't know if this fully worked or if it was just a placebo effect, but so far it's worked. But yes, protection when it comes to doing baneful workings is key. If I do baneful workings for anybody, I will do some type of protection beforehand and then do the baneful, just to make sure they themselves are protected by it. And I've also had very weird outplays, like one of the very, very first community candles that I did. Ironically, it's very weird, and I'm laughing about this now because it was at the end of 2019 and it was a gold candle. As in, I painted the outside of it gold, and I actually did. I streamed it here on YouTube. I think it was YouTube or Facebook. I streamed lighting it at 12 o'clock on New Year's Eve, or New Year's, and then like the whole panorama started. But one of the people that were in there got hospitalized shortly after that, and they messaged me this, and I'm like, oh my god, that was not the intention of it. But what after talking, we realized that it was their body purging itself of all of the bad, and it turned out they were 10 times better. They healed and everything. They were 10 times better afterwards. But even the doctors were kind of like, whoa. And we figured out that it was the body purging itself in order to be a better self. So spell work can be very complex to a degree depending on what you're doing. And what I love about spell work is I don't really see any videos on TikTok recently within the past year, but there were some where like somebody got gifted a spell jar and they saw red chili peppers in it, and they automatically thought that somebody was trying to hex them. When I'm like, for one, I don't care what type of witch you are. It's extremely hard to be able to break a spell down like that just by looking at the ingredients, due to the fact that everybody thinks that if you see red chili flakes, you're using that in a baneful working. No, it can be used in a positive working, but it can also be used in a baneful working. And the books that I am currently reading, I should have brought in here. They use 3 terms when it comes to their herbs: hot, cold, and medium. As in, adding this herb will flare something up, and then you have the medium ground, which means it can be used for both baneful and non-baneful. But there's a lot of herbs that have both of those qualities, but people online hyperfixate on hexing or cursing, and I'm like, no, that's not how this works. But that's what happened to me if I wait a long time to cleanse myself. When I finally will get super sick. But then, yep, I've had it happen to me as well. Hey, I have a spell jar that is done. Can I reuse the jar, and if so, how should I dispose the contents? Yes, 100% you can. Now, some practitioners are going to tell you no. Yes, 100%, because when we look at jars, the jar in itself is just a container. Like, it's just containing the actual spell work. Um, Depending on what it is, I would stray away from how I dispose of my jars. If it's anything toxic to the environment, I will try to burn it. Even if it's wet, I will put it in a burn-proof bowl. Obviously, not a cauldron because it'll rust. But get a plate or a bowl that's designated. Pour all the remainants out. Now, as you're doing this, like, state to the universe that you are deconstructing it. Pour it all out into a bowl and let it dry out as much as possible. And then after it's fully dry, I would set it on fire using like either alcohol. Obviously, do this outside, but I would use like alcohol, rubbing alcohol, or like Florida water because it's extremely flammable. burn it as much as you can to a fine ash, and then you can either A, scatter that into the winds, and or another thing that I do, now I did get this from Anastasia the Chaos Witch. If you come across their content, seriously go follow them. Their artwork is fucking incredible. They have a term that they use, which is magical gunpowder. So we've all seen the videos of people cleansing stuff when they take them off their altars or whatever. Not talking about that, not hating on anybody. But like my cauldron, for example, I do not make brews or anything. It's just specifically for burning. If I were to cleanse that, I will scrape out the outside of it and use that powder. If I burn incense, if I burn any type of working, unless otherwise I'm going to dispose of it or send it out to the universe by displaying the ashes outside, I will collect that due to the fact that it has residue in it. And if you were to collect that over and over again, like when I do candle works for even customers, after the candle is completely burned and it puts itself out, I will cleanse it, as in I will disconnect any type of energy that is with the person that I was using it for, and then I will add it into a bag, depending on if it's painful, love, healing. And eventually I'm going to melt all of that down and have multiple candles that have all of this magical residue built into it. So your altar stuff, like after you get through cleansing it, or as you're cleaning it, when you start to like brush off and scrape off all the incense and herbs and stuff that's fallen, save that shit, because not only has it just been chilling on your altar, but it also has that energy in it, that psychokinetic energy, if you will. It has it in it, and you can tap into that. It was a banishment that I don't need anymore. Yeah, totally. Now another alternative to that, again, depending on the ingredients, is you can also throw it in a river. Now, if you are going to throw it in a river, obviously try to connect to the spirit of the river. If you're an amethyst and you believe everything has a spirit, but also make sure that river is flowing away from your property and not towards you. And if you were to ever dispose of spell ingredients, especially if it's a banishing or baneful or anything like that, make sure the water flow, the flow of the water, is flowing away from you and not towards you, because some practitioners believe that if it's flowing towards you, then the only thing it's going to do is follow you back. Now, another alternative to that is a crossroads. Connect with the spirit of that crossroad, obviously, and then, you know, uh, more than likely dig a hole, and just leave it there. But it's also extremely important that when you leave something like that at a crossroad, you do not look back. It's just like when you do a spell and they tell you do not look back. Do not look back, just continue going. I was just about to say crossroads. Oh, I love this conversation. But yeah, crossroads are extremely powerful to use. And once you, now, if you do have a crossroad near you to where you can go multiple times and you connect with the actual, now when I say spirit of a crossroad, I do not mean, think of a guardian of a graveyard. So every crossroad that you come across will have a specific, some will have multiple ones. But it's like a familiar spirit. It's like a land spirit of that actual crossroad, because it's an intersection. And a crossroad can be a 4-way or 3-way or 6-way or whatever ways. Traditionally, though, it does fall between a 4-way and a 3-way. Now, there's another term that I used in a book, but it's technically out of date, which would basically be a male crossroad and then a female crossroad. Basically X or Y. But after you've connected with the spirit, you can actually, if you are granted access to it, as in if you ask the spirit and they give you a yes, you can collect some of the dirt from there, and you can take that dirt home and be able to open, say you're going to create a crossroad, you're going to create, yeah, you're going to create a X, right? An X or a cross with that dirt on your altar. You can actually tap in, and basically you're not going to create a doorway, because that's not what you want, but you want a portal in a way. So what you're doing is you're accessing the mother crossroad from your house. So you're basically opening a small portal to where nothing can pass through on any way. You do not want a window or a door. That's how you get a trickster. But you can tap into that energy and activate it. That way you have your own sacred space that is directly connected to that crossroad. Now I have crossroad dirt that I call the Seven Sisters because it's 7 different crossroads that I've collected and put together. And that way I don't have to go to a crossroad if I don't have the access to it. I can open that sacred space, that powerful vortex in a way, right here at my own house. Now, obviously, Seven Sisters I only use in certain specific situations or workings. But when I was interviewing Bloody Mary on my podcast, Bloody Mary from New Orleans, uh, they did the same thing. They have an entire altar of magical dirts and dust collected from all across the world. Because I made a video, imagine if, say, you had an unlimited visa and you could travel all around the world, right? Imagine going to like the pyramids, Stonehenge, all of these like historically like old sacred sites. Imagine collecting dirt from all of these and then being able to bring them all back and put them together to open up a portal. You would be connected to some of the most powerful energy wise, because a lot of them are on ley lines. You would be connected to all of that. Now, unfortunately, I do have a friend that's in the UK, and I asked him like, how does the energy feel? And it doesn't really feel like I would think it would. Um, and even also, if you live in the Appalachian Mountain Range or the Ozark Mountain Range, those mountains are still connected to the UK, to Scotland, Ireland. So you can still tap into that. Um, there's a lot of things that you can do with the dirt and things like that that it's not really talked about in books anymore. Um, but yeah, there's just some witchy tips as well. But unfortunately, I do have to go. We're right at 51 minutes, which is perfect because that was the amount of time that I wanted to. And if you did miss this or if you randomly tune into this, so this is not necessarily for y'all. But for anybody who rewatches this, if you made it to this point, drop a pumpkin or a broom emoji in the comments. Um, but yeah, I'm about to log off of here because I got to set these workings up and then I've got to, I don't know if I'm going to start dinner now or later. I may start it now. But anyways, thank y'all so much for coming to hang out with me. I will, like I said, I'm going to start doing this more and I'll advertise on both TikTok and my Facebook page. But yeah, and as always, if y'all ever have a magical question, my inboxes are open on all platforms. TikTok is different because we do have to be mutuals, but I also have my email, firelotusthewitch@gmail.com. Message me. You can also hit me up in the Discord. For anybody who rewatches this, if you want to join the Discord, there will be a link tree listed below. Click that. It'll take you straight to the Discord. The Discord is 18 plus, just because we go over a lot of subjects to where unless I have your parents' consent, you can't really have access to some of the other things in the actual TikTok. I mean Discord. But yeah, I'm gonna let y'all go. Plus, I'm probably gonna light a candle for the weather that we're having because the wind's picking up and I don't like that. And everything I'm seeing now, right side outside of the camera, is complete blackness right now. So, but anyways, y'all are amazing. Thank y'all so much, and I will talk to y'all later.